issued his third apology in less than a week for failing to disclose $75,000 in donations to the Clinton Foundation. He once again said it was a mistake to make the donations or disclose them while covering the foundation. But several journalists, including former colleagues at ABC News, are questioning Stephanopoulos' explanation, saying he should have known better.
I like George. I worked with him and have great respect for him. But I wanted to just take him by the neck and say, George, what were you thinking? And clearly he was not thinking. I thought it was outrageous, and I am sorry that, again, the public's trust in the media is being challenged and frayed because of the actions of some of the top people in the business.
Like Carol, I was completely dumbfounded, particularly in the interview with Schweitzer. I couldn't believe, as he was making the whole conversation about the foundation, that it didn't occur to him to say, maybe I should disclose that I've given them a lot of money and participated in a lot of their events. It simply is an indication that very smart people can sometimes be very foolish. I even think, if you want, that wonder to what extent Stephanopoulos was trying to repair relations with the Clintons, because the book he wrote in 1999, All Too Human, really put him on the outs with the Clintons, and not many people raised doubts about him covering Hillary Clinton in 2008.
You want to be seen as independent, and if there's anybody in the world that you want to seem independent from, it's the Clintons. So that's the mistake. The apology's fine. I give him credit for making it. I like George. I think by and large he's done a good job of being even-handed in his work. But this was a mistake, and I'm not sure he'll recover from it anytime soon.
And Peter Schweitzer, the author of Clinton Cash, says Stephanopoulos' ties to the group runs much deeper than just donations. That has Schweitzer re-examining his tough interview on ABC this week, calling for a second interview with the network.
I knew about the fact that he had worked for the Clintons, but honestly, I sort of believed and assumed that he had sort of put that in the past, and I thought he was simply asking tough questions. Now I think the revelations that have come out put the interview, at least in my mind, in a totally different context. I don't mind tough questions, but you wonder what's the motivation. Is it the search for truth, or is it because he's trying to, in a sense, do something to benefit the Clinton Foundation, which he obviously has some affinity for? He's been on panels with Chelsea Clinton at Clinton Foundation events. He's moderated debates and discussions at Clinton Foundation events. How can you do that and cover that same political family in the political season? I mean, to me, it's mind-boggling.
Interesting. So, David Ignatius, I'd like your take on, I guess, the apology, because the part that I think is problematic is that he covered the story about donations to the foundation while not disclosing that he gave donations to the foundation. Yes. Having said that, I'm listening to all these sound bites and all these people who are dumbfounded and shocked and can't believe what they've seen, and it just seems to me that he worked on the Clinton campaign. He worked tirelessly to elect Bill Clinton. He served under Bill Clinton. Who would be so surprised that he has ties to the Clintons? And if anything, that seems to me to be a lack of judgment on the people who are hiring him to think that he can just erase those from his brain. Biases exist.
Nika, that may be the issue. I wrote a column a few years ago noting the arrival of George Stephanopoulos, a likable, respectable person in many ways, as an objective TV anchor, commentator person, not a commentator, an anchor. And just asking, was that being done automatically by fiat as opposed to earned? And the way you earn trust in jobs like this is by being open with viewers and readers, disclosing everything that's relevant to covering a story. And it's not surprising the author of an expose of the Clinton Foundation, who was grilled by George, says, hey, wait a minute, this isn't appropriate for somebody to ask me these tough questions, have been a contributor to the very charity that I'm exposing what I think is wrongdoing, and never disclose that to readers. And but I think there is a larger question. There's been a pass-through of many political personalities on all networks, but people who made their bones as politicians, then becoming anchors, commentators, and I think all the bosses of the networks need to look at that more closely, quite apart from how the George situation is resolved.
Well, and looking at it more closely doesn't eradicating people with former political ties from the.
No, but if you're going to be a journalist, you need to be a journalist.
But David, I don't disagree. What I'm saying is that everybody on television has biases, worldviews, and opinions. Let's not pretend that there are certain journalists who are completely objective and have tunnel vision and have absolutely no lean. That's yesterday. That's when people pretended to be objective, there was a lean, and no one talked about it. Everybody has one. And I think the important thing here and what was lost here was the lack of transparency.
Yes. Listen, I would just say, look.
We all have to be look at Joe and me. Totally different worldviews.
But it's important.
Totally different ideologies.
Important. As David says, there is this rapidly spinning, revolving door between politics and media now, and it's different. And I think, to some extent, you have to pick your lane and get in one and stay there for a while. It's fine to jump careers and change, but in fact, all the cable shows, all these networks are now full of people who come out of politics, who are then commenting on politics. And transparency is important, but there is a problem here with the reliance on paid partisans to do news gathering.
Yeah, but you know what? If you block out everybody who's had political experience, you're also blocking out an insight and a sense of kind of a knowledge about the process, because you don't want to appear partisan. I don't mind that people who have had political jobs come on television and give us their insight and prognosticate, because they know how it works, because they've done it. Just be transparent every step of the way, and the information is richer. Well, what got lost here is transparency. It was not honest.
One of the larger issues involved here, not just with George Stephanopoulos. He's a good guy and a smart guy. I just wondered what he was thinking about when he did that. But one of the larger issues involved, I would think, is over the last decade or so, the blend of news and opinion leading consumers of news to sit out there watching TV or reading, wondering, well, what's the news? And who is a news person? You're on as a commentator, but are you a news person, or is it your view, or what is the news? That's the question. What is the news?
Well, this is definitely reopening